If you've ever wondered what happens when a police officer's body camera suddenly stops recording at the exact moment everything goes wrong, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll understand why missing footage can completely change the outcome of a case, what rights you have when dealing with police, and how one traffic stop turned into a national controversy that ended with an officer losing his job, facing criminal charges, and a courtroom battle that still isn't over. The entire incident began as what appeared to be a routine traffic stop. An officer pulled over a vehicle because of an issue involving the license plate. At first, it looked like countless other stops that happen every day across the country. There were questions, demands for identification, and growing tension between the officer and the driver. But within moments, the encounter escalated into a physical struggle. The driver involved was Patrick Lyoya, a 26-year-old resident of Grand Rapids, Michigan. During the stop, Officer Christopher Scher attempted to detain him. Instead of remaining at the scene, Patrick ran. What followed was a chase, a confrontation, and eventually a struggle between the two men. At one point, Officer Scher attempted to deploy his taser. The effort was unsuccessful. During the fight that followed, Patrick reached toward the taser, and the struggle intensified. Then, something happened that would become one of the most debated parts of the entire case. The officer's body camera stopped recording, not minutes before the shooting, not long after it. It stopped during one of the most critical moments of the confrontation. Seconds later, a single gunshot was fired, ending Patrick Lyoya's life. That missing footage immediately raised questions. When a body camera cuts out during the exact moment investigators, attorneys, jurors, and the public most need to see what happened, people are left trying to piece together events without a complete record. Suddenly, determining what occurred becomes far more difficult. The controversy surrounding the shooting eventually led to Officer Scher being charged with second-degree murder. His employment with the Grand Rapids Police Department also came to an end. According to reports released after the incident, the body camera deactivation was described as accidental, but that explanation led many people to ask a larger question. What if a body camera isn't turned off by mistake? Can officers legally shut off their cameras whenever they want? Most people assume body cameras exist to create an objective record. They're often described as neutral witnesses that don't forget details and don't take sides. If that's true, why would any officer ever stop recording? The answer isn't as simple as many people think. There are situations where police departments allow officers to deactivate body cameras. In some circumstances, officers may even be expected to do so. Imagine an officer responding to a deeply personal medical emergency inside someone's home. Consider a conversation with a confidential informant whose identity needs protection. Think about a discussion involving a victim sharing sensitive information. Many departments argue that privacy concerns make continuous recording inappropriate in certain situations. On the surface, that reasoning makes sense. Not every camera deactivation automatically means misconduct occurred. However, that's where things become complicated. The decision to stop recording often depends on the officer's judgment. And anytime discretion enters the equation, questions can follow, because once recording stops, independent verification becomes difficult. Suppose an officer turns off a camera for what begins as a legitimate private conversation, then the situation unexpectedly escalates. Maybe the officer forgets to reactivate the camera. Maybe they choose not to. Either way, critical events may occur without being documented, and when that happens, people are left debating what really took place. There have even been situations where courts have addressed when officers can and cannot deactivate cameras after major incidents. In one case involving officers after a police shooting, certain conversations with supervisors were permitted without body camera recording. Later discussions required recording to resume. The issue many critics point out is obvious. If important conversations happen while cameras are off, verifying exactly what was said becomes extremely difficult. Without documentation, the public is often forced to trust accounts that cannot be independently confirmed. This creates a situation where one side possesses information the other side may never fully access. Even though policies and laws sometimes permit body camera deactivation, another challenge exists: actually obtaining the footage. Many people assume that if body camera video exists, getting a copy should be simple. In reality, it often isn't. Consider the experience of someone arrested for an offense they insist they didn't commit. Naturally, they'd want the video evidence as quickly as possible. Many people expect a straightforward request process and immediate access. Instead, they discover a system filled with deadlines, paperwork, fees, and delays. In numerous jurisdictions, requests for footage must be submitted within a limited period. Miss that window, and the recording may eventually be deleted according to retention policies. Then comes the formal records request process. Depending on where you live, obtaining footage can become expensive. Some jurisdictions charge hourly fees for locating, reviewing, processing, and preparing records. Those costs can add up quickly, and after investing time and money, there is still the possibility that access will be denied or significantly delayed. Think about the position that places someone in. You're trying to gather evidence that could help prove your innocence or support your version of events. Yet the very material you need may be difficult to obtain. Meanwhile, court dates approach, investigations continue, and decisions are being made. When access to evidence is restricted, the ability to defend yourself becomes more difficult. Fortunately, in Patrick Lyoya's case, another source of video existed. A man named Wayne Butler happened to be nearby when the encounter unfolded. Seeing events develop, he began recording with his cell phone. That decision would become incredibly important. His footage captured portions of the confrontation from a perspective entirely separate from law enforcement, and suddenly there was another record, another angle, another version of what occurred. This highlights why bystander video has become such a powerful tool in recent years. Body cameras were introduced with the goal of increasing transparency and accountability. They were supposed to help eliminate uncertainty. But they have limitations. First, they only show what the officer's camera is facing. Anything outside that field of view may never appear on video. An important movement, gesture, or action occurring just beyond the frame can be completely absent from the recording. Judges won't see it. Jurors won't see it. The public won't see it. Second, officers typically control the equipment. They activate it. They deactivate it. They operate it. As a result, body cameras are not always the uninterrupted record people imagine them to be. Looking at the footage available from Patrick Lyoya's encounter illustrates this challenge. The struggle is visible, the tension is obvious, but key details remain difficult to determine. Exactly where were each person's hands? What was happening during the final moments before the shot? Was the camera disabled accidentally during the struggle, or did something else occur? Those questions became central to the debate. What makes bystander video different is independence. The person recording usually has no control over police equipment and no responsibility for department policies. They're simply documenting what they see. Many observers believe the existence of Wayne Butler's footage played a significant role in ensuring the incident received thorough scrutiny. Which brings us to a practical question. What should someone do if they find themselves interacting with police and believe a body camera isn't recording? The first thing is simple awareness. If possible, observe whether the camera appears active. Many body camera systems use indicator lights, sounds, or signals that suggest recording is taking place. If you suspect the camera is off, avoid escalating the situation. Arguing aggressively about body camera policies on the roadside is unlikely to improve the encounter and may increase tension. Instead, focus on creating your own record. Documentation matters. Calmly and respectfully stating something like, "Officer, I want to note that your body camera appears not to be recording," can be valuable. You're not accusing anyone. You're not making threats. You're simply documenting an observation. If your own recording captures that statement, it becomes part of the record. Another important step is recording whenever legally permitted. If you're a passenger, document the interaction. If another occupant is present, ask them to record. If bystanders are nearby, their recordings may become valuable later. In public places, individuals generally have strong legal protections when recording police officers performing official duties. But what if you're the bystander? What if you're watching an encounter involving someone else? Your role changes. The goal is to record, not intervene. Keep a safe distance. Capture events clearly. Avoid physically inserting yourself into the situation. If officers instruct you to move back, comply while continuing to document from a lawful distance. Maintaining your recording can be important, but so can avoiding conduct that could lead to your own arrest. Another issue occasionally arises when officers request access to someone's phone. If that happens, clearly stating that you do not consent to a search of the device can be important. Legal protections surrounding cell phone searches are significant, and officers generally require proper legal authority before examining the contents of a phone. The larger point is this: you are not personally enforcing department policy, you are documenting whether policy is being followed, and even when video disappears, other evidence often remains behind. Modern body camera systems generate extensive digital records. These digital footprints can reveal a surprising amount about what happened to a recording. Some states and departments impose additional requirements as well. Certain policies require officers to explain why cameras were turned off and when recording resumed. Others require supervisors to review incidents involving deactivations. Serious incidents may trigger mandatory retention procedures designed to preserve evidence. Protect your own recordings as well. Keep original files untouched. Create backups. Store copies securely. Share them with trusted individuals. If legal proceedings become necessary, preserving the original version can be extremely important. It's also worth remembering that missing video is not necessarily invisible evidence. In some jurisdictions, courts recognize that unavailable footage may have had value. Attorneys can challenge missing recordings from multiple angles. Was the camera required to be active under policy? Was there a technical malfunction? Was footage altered, reviewed, edited, or deleted? Does the officer have a history involving body camera issues? These questions can become central to a legal case. Certain states have laws that may create consequences when officers fail to preserve required recordings. Missing footage doesn't automatically answer questions, but it doesn't erase them either. When recordings disappear, investigators, attorneys, and courts often look for the evidence surrounding the absence itself. And understanding how that process works can make all the difference when someone's future depends on what happened during a police encounter.